attention, I'd like to call the April 17th meeting of the Forsyth County Board of Education to order. If we would all rise, I will have the invocation and pledge. If you could bow your heads. We bow today so thankful for all the blessings you've given us. Please be with those who are sick, have lost loved ones, those with heartache. Lift them up and give them a peace that only you can, Lord. Please be with us as we meet tonight and help us make thoughtful decisions for the best interest of all those concerned. We sincerely pray for this and all of your blessings. Amen. Salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone that's here tonight. We have a crowd. If y'all want to sit down, we can probably squeeze in, but if you want to stand, that'll be fine too. We have before us an agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I'd like to amend the agenda.
Okay.
I would like to add an agenda item, since as a mom, I know we're doing our CRC testing at school, and I would like to add item 7D, assessment accountability update, please.
Okay, assessment.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion to amend in a second. All in favor of the amendment? Unanimous. Okay, all in favor of the agenda as amended? Unanimous. All right, next we have recognitions, and I believe Mr. Joey Perkle is going to do those tonight.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be able to recognize all of our outstanding students and staff members for the great things that they do within our school system. And by the looks of the room, you can tell we have a lot of those. So we are always excited to be able to recognize folks for the great things that they do. So we're going to go ahead and get started this afternoon, where our first recognition comes from the Young Georgia Authors Writing Competition. We have 13 district winners. And when I call your name, if you would come down this side of the room, please, and move across the stage to be recognized in this direction. We also, for those of you who have not noticed, we also have the Chick-fil-A hero, Cal, with us today, this afternoon. So we appreciate Chick-fil-A and all that they do to help us in their partnership with our school system. We appreciate them very much. So without further ado, we will recognize Young Georgia Author Writing Competition winners. From kindergarten, Madison Easley from Kelly Mill Elementary School. First grade is Audrey Bennett from Daves Creek Elementary School. Second grade, Ella Majoli from Brookwood Elementary School. From third grade is Ariane De Jesus from Big Creek Elementary School. From fourth grade is Jenna Bradley from Big Creek Elementary School. Fifth grade, Ariana Cox, Kelly Mill Elementary School. Sixth grade, Claire Dean, Vickery Creek Middle School. Seventh grade, Meg Abrams, South Forsyth Middle School. Eighth grade, Keely Ford, Otwell Middle School. Ninth grade, Omkar Weingunker from South Forsyth High School. 10th grade, Olivia Camburn from Lambert High School. th grade, Hannah Quire from Lambert High School. And 12th grade, Taylor Gordy from Lambert High School. Now, would all the parents, some of you may be standing. If you are, you can raise your hand. But if you're sitting, if you're a parent of any of these children or students, if you would stand so we can thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Our next recognition comes from the Skills USA Engine Building Competition. The Forsyth Central Engine Builders team, coming off of a fantastic state championship at the Skills USA State Contest in Atlanta, which was on March the 13th, went on to win the Southeastern Engine Builders Contest in Hendersonville, Tennessee on March the 22nd. This team is number 1 with the fastest time in the nation going into the National Engine Builders Contest in Las Vegas. The team will be traveling to the Atlanta Motor Speedway on April the 26th to show the NASCAR world how an engine can be disassembled and reassembled in under 20 minutes. When I call your name, if you would please come forward to be recognized. We'd like to recognize the teacher of this group, which is Marlo Miranda. And the students are Jordan Schaller, Daniel Ryan, J.P. Webb, Blake Hughes, Shabazz Ashlam. And if the parents of these students would stand or wave if you're standing so we can recognize you. Thank you very much. We're also thrilled this afternoon to be able to recognize future business leaders of America, the state competition winners. So when I call your names, if you would please come forward. From Lambert High School, Ms. Susan Fagan, who is the teacher and sponsor from Lambert High School. Tommy Clark, who is first place business calculations from Lambert High School. Matthew Thompson, first place business law, Lambert High School. And Jerry Sasser, third place, healthcare administration. From North Forsyth High School, Ms. Shannon Anderson Rush, the teacher and sponsor for FBLA at North High. And the student for first place future business leader and who's who in FBLA at North Forsyth High School is Ashton Sabel. South Forsyth High School, teacher and sponsor James O'Connor. And South Forsyth student first place for networking concepts and third place intro to information technology is James Aiden Killer. Okay, if parents of these students would stand and or wave at us so we can thank you. Thank you very much. congratulations again to all of these students. At this time, Mr. Petts, Director of Transportation, would come forward to present this month's REACH Employee of the Month.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Evans, community members. Every year when we get to do this in April, I am always reminded as to how many great employees we have in transportation, not just the Forsyth County school system, but transportation. And every year when I come here to announce the winner, I always am pleased to announce someone who's very deserving of the award. I'd like to read you one of the nominations that this honoree has received. I would like to nominate Wendy Funderburg for this honor because she always goes above and beyond my expectation. She is someone who, if there's a problem with a procedure or process, she won't just say sorry, that's how it's done. She will say, let's see how we can fix this and make it better. She thinks outside the box to meet the needs of the students. I am sure working in transportation, she faces daily challenges. Not really. But she is always a joy to deal with, always kind, considerate, and helpful. I appreciate all she does to make sure our transportation needs for both our special programs are met. Board members, your vision, our vision of superior performance and quality learning for all applies to all employees, it applies to all students, and if we're going to meet that, we have to both raise the bar in education and we have to narrow the gaps. And it's obvious that Wendy understands the needs of all individual students, and she works tirelessly to meet those needs. And so, for that reason, I am proud to announce Wendy Funderburg as REACH Employee of the Month. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd also like to thank Wendy's family who are here. Wave at us or stand. You're already standing. Thank you very much. And we'd also like to thank Jim and Nix who support this REACH Employee of the Month each and every month and who are also wonderful business partners of the school system. So thank you very much for that. Okay, we will move on to our Superior Performance Spotlight. So if everyone would hang tight for that, and then I think the board's going to be seated for the Superior Performance Spotlight. Our Superior Performance Spotlight this afternoon comes from our Oratorical contest winners. We have two. We have Sarah Kale, who is from South Forsyth High School, and we have Axel Weber, who is from Lakeside Middle School. So we didn't discuss this before the meeting started, but we will let, as we should, girls go first. So we will let Sarah go first, and then after Sarah, Axel will present the board with his oratorical speech. So if Sarah would come forward.
How my passions impact the world. Snowflakes fall silently around me as I stand in the middle of the arena. I try not to think about the cold as I hear the clip-clop of the horse's hooves on the frozen sand, and I concentrate on watching the technique of each student. As the students move their horses in a circle, my attention is drawn to one particular student whom I have worked with for months to master this maneuver. However, as I turn to focus on her, I see that she's already completed her circle. Realizing her success, she turns and sees that I'm watching. No words are necessary, because her face is lit with the biggest smile I've ever seen. That moment was definitive of my passion for teaching little girls to ride horses. The skills that I teach them are not only critical in horseback riding, but in life as well. My passion impacts the world through teaching my students to have self-confidence, communication skills, and responsibility. First, I teach my students to have self-confidence. Horses have a herd mentality, which means that they look to the beings around them to know how to behave. If a student is afraid or timid, the horse will sense those feelings and be unsure of how to respond. I teach my students that their self-confidence will send a message of trust to their horse. As Helen Keller said, nothing can be done without hope and confidence. Having confidence in yourself is something that is required in all aspects of your life. Week after week of being around these wonderful animals and instilling trust in them teaches my students to be confident in who they are and whatever they do. Secondly, I teach my students that being able to communicate with their horses effectively will enable them to be more successful in riding. In order for the horses to listen, we must give them clear instructions. Let's think about this. We all know how hard it is to communicate with teenagers, and how difficult it can be to get a 6-year-old to follow instructions. Now think about a teenager trying to instruct a 6-year-old on how to communicate with a horse. I have to form my explanations in such a way that my students can understand, and in turn, they have to mold their commands in such a way that their horses can understand. Tony Robbins once said, "To effectively communicate, we must realize that we are all different in the way we perceive the world and use this understanding as a guide to our communication with others." In life, my students may encounter people with whom communication is difficult. They can take what they've learned and apply it to form their thoughts so that they can communicate with all types of people. Lastly, I teach my students about responsibility. At the barn, the students are responsible for the safety of themselves and their horse from the beginning to the end of the lesson. They are also responsible for following specific rules and instructions to ensure the safety of those around them. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "In the long run, we shape our lives and we shape ourselves, and the choices we make are ultimately our own responsibility." In the lives of my students away from the barn, they are responsible for their homework, chores, and later on their own careers. By having them be held accountable for tasks now, they will be better prepared to handle future endeavors. Through my passion of teaching little girls to ride horses, I impact the world by teaching them that abilities such as self-confidence, communication skills, and responsibility will enable them to be more successful in any dream they choose to pursue. My passion not only affects the lives of these little girls in the future, but also right now, every day. I actually get to see my passion to fruition, rather than planting a seed which I may not see grow. My hope is that these girls mature into people who will one day make an impact on someone else's world, as I have on theirs. As amazing as it sounds, when that student and I looked at each other, I couldn't even feel the cold wind whipping around the arena, because the excitement on her face warmed my heart, and I knew that from that one accomplishment, her confidence grew. Knowing that I have even a small impact on the lives of my students is what inspires me to continue my passion for teaching, because I get to watch them grow, one smile at a time.
That was great, thank you. Are we ready?
No, is there
We got
another?
another one.
One more student? Yeah.
How my passions impact the world. Bill Gates, Nelson Mandela, Steve Jobs, even Justin Bieber have all had impacts on the world. Although I haven't made as great an impact on the world as them, I have, on a small scale, influenced my life and the lives of those around me. I believe I have positively impacted my community, my friends, and my family with my passions. This past Christmas Eve, my family and I made an excursion into the projects of downtown Atlanta to feed the homeless. I was cold, complaining, and pretty ticked that I was spending the night before Christmas in such an uncomfortable way. As soon as I got an eyeful of the conditions these people put through, I was speechless. Women, men, and children were lying on concrete in freezing weather beneath the highway in one of the busiest cities in America. Everything I had said before this point came rushing back to me like a shameful slap to the face. These unfortunate souls would give anything to be in my place. I knew I had a warm bed and a welcoming family to return home to, yet these people were happy to even have a place to sleep that night. It may not have impacted the world, but one person's stomach was filled that night, and another walk home with an experience you'd never forget. Since then, that experience has instilled within me a passion to care for the less fortunate, and not take for granted things that have been so graciously given to me. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of your 5 best friends." I know for a fact that my friends' dedications to certain things influence me. I'm my own person, and I make my own decisions, although I know my friends played some role in shaping who I am today. For example, I used to hate sports. Back in elementary school, I couldn't tell you the difference between water polo and football. Anything that required me to run or hit something was a waste of energy to me. But by the time middle school rolled around, my friends had convinced me to play football for a local park. I had a great time playing with my teammates, and that was just the start of my athletic career. If my friends hadn't come along and impacted me with their passions for sports, I'd probably be sitting at home watching Cartoon Network and eating chips. My point is, if my friends have impacted my life with their passions, have I changed theirs? Have my passions impacted their life? I think so. From what sports I play, what classes I take, to the type of music I listen to, everything I say and do leaves an impression upon my friends. Family. It's not an important thing. It's everything. Friends will come and go, but family is forever. My immediate family is 7 large, and I have over 50 cousins, aunts, uncles, and grandparents. Every single one of them has had some sort of impact on me. My immediate family deals with me every day, so we all know each other pretty well when it comes to passions. I know my family is passionate about their faith and their moral ways of life. I, on the other hand, am very dedicated to my athletics and improving my attitude. As a teenager, a positive outlook on things is very important. I know my mom and dad can tell you a lot about that. Through bettering my approach on the aspects of life, my family is greatly impacted. By being passionate about wanting to make myself a better person, they're happier. Like it or not, I'm stuck with these people, so I might as well get on into this. Passion to some people may be waking up early every morning for a brutal workout with your sports team. It might be putting up with your annoying boss because he's the one giving you those paychecks every month. Passion might be studying until the wee hours of the morning to improve your test grades. Passion might even be skipping school to finish an oratorical essay. I may not have impacted the world, but I'm still young. Hopefully, the next time you see me giving a speech, it'll be on television, not behind that big desk in the Oval Office.
Alex and Sarah, that was awesome. Very inspiring. You should both major in communications when you go to school.
And then come work for us.
Now I think that concludes our recognitions, and so you are welcome to stay for our meeting, our exciting meeting, the business part. But if you choose not to, you are welcome to go now. We'll take a couple of minutes recess. Okay, if I could call the meeting back to order. The next thing on our agenda is our consent agenda, and I think we've all went over all that. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
A motion by Ann and a second by Nancy. All in favor? Unanimous. Public participation? No public participation tonight. Okay, presentation and discussion items. We have, the first one is the Inspire presentation with Mr. Parkle.
Good afternoon. We have another Inspire presentation this afternoon for you from Mr. Paul Monteperto. Paul is the assistant principal at Kelly Mill Elementary School and has worked diligently all year on his project. I think you'll be impressed to hear about that. So we're going to go ahead and let Paul come forward and talk to you a little bit about his project.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello.
I was told that this will all take care of itself, and you'll see what I see, so I'm trusting that that works.
Sure.
Good evening. Thank you. As Joey had mentioned, I currently am an assistant principal at Kelly Mill Elementary School. I've been there since its inception last year, working with Mr. Ron McAllister. Prior to that, I had the opportunity to serve as an assistant principal at Chattahoochee Elementary School for 4 years, working with now retired principal Dave Culpepper. And again, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share this presentation and project with you tonight. If you look on the screen, you'll see 3 questions. And the topic of my school improvement project this year was instruction. And so there were 3 questions that I created that I thought were very essential to driving my guidance through this project and what I hope to attain and see through the implementation at Kelly Mill this year. And as you read those 3 questions, you'll recognize that there are a variety of ways to answer all 3 of those questions. The one answer that really kind of struck me is something that is referred to as the school-wide enrichment model, and that was an instructional model that we chose to embark upon in one vein this year at Kelly Mill Elementary School. I was turned on to that through an experience I had last year. I was a participant in our gifted endorsement program that we do here in Forsyth County Schools for our educators. Myself and 3 other teachers at Kelly Mill Elementary School went through this program, and the culminating project in that is something called the Dream Project. Some of you may have had an opportunity to actually witness that. They showcase those every spring, oftentimes here at the Board of Ed. Actually, this spring, if you haven't had a chance to see it, I invite you to come out. We're hosting it at Kelly Mill Elementary School this year. I believe it's the 1st or 2nd week of May. And it's an opportunity for the teachers to showcase these dream projects, if you will, that focus on implementing some new ideology with regards to educational practice. So that's where my idea stemmed from last year, and I wanted to figure out a way of how that could transpire into an Inspire project, if you will, this year. So the school-wide enrichment model basically is the application of the gifted pedagogy across an entire learning environment, where every student in that learning environment has access to the instructional practices confounded in this model of instruction. There's a name, Joseph Renzulli, is most commonly associated with the school-wide enrichment model. He and Sally Reese and several other folks have done research and performed studies for over 20 years of what this looks like in a variety of venues across the country, and the results are outstanding. I don't have time to get into a lot of the data with you tonight, but if this is something that strikes an interest with you, I highly encourage you to get online and do some research yourselves. The gifted pedagogy, next logical question is, what is that? Basically, in a nutshell, that is a teacher being very intentional about identifying, recognizing, nurturing the specific interests, talents, learning preferences, strengths of each individual learner they have the opportunity to teach. That's providing a differentiated environment that is confounded on an authentic learning experience that has choice as a part of a student's learning model. Oftentimes there's a very creative element to that. And you know as well as I do that that can look so many different ways in so many different environments. But the key ingredient is really that student-centered approach with a very high level of instruction that is relevant to what the student's knowledge and interests are, as well as rigorous, that challenges their thinking and learning. So if you click to the next slide, this is going to feel very random, and it probably is. But I felt like it's connected to the message that I wanted to portray to you tonight, and that is the aspect of people. The gifted pedagogy keeps the student as the very center of the instruction. And I had the opportunity about 2 years ago to read this book. It's not about the coffee. It's written by Howard Behar. And Howard Behar is a very accomplished individual. He is the founder of Starbucks Coffee. And when he set sail to develop this business idea, he went against the business model grain at the time. And he caught a lot of flack from his colleagues because his idea was to think about the people first and then the business come. But the typical model was you create the business and you find the people to support it. And so he's quoted very famously with, "We're in the people business serving coffee, not the coffee business serving people." So there's a variety of principles of leadership, but if you look at number 8 there, he says we are human beings first. And I think that's a very, very, very important aspect that all organizations that thrive on human resources to attain some sort of objective would greatly benefit, including education even more specifically, because we are people serving people. So it's a very unique opportunity for us and what we have to impress upon what we're trying to accomplish in our objectives. And so that stems to, again, the relationships being the very core part of the school-wide enrichment model. Dr. Bill Daggett with the International Center of Education developed a framework. It became known as the 3 R's. And it's not the 3 R's that you all are used to from when you went to school not so long ago, but a little while ago. Not reading, writing, and arithmetic, but rigor, relevance, and relationships. And again, if you look at this diagram, you'll notice that the relationship piece is the very core. And until we can accomplish that piece, it's very difficult for us to do any of the rest of it. More specifically and more intentionally with the teacher and student relationship. When that student recognizes they can trust that environment, they are much more receptive to the learning. So the school-wide enrichment model is something that is very conducive to adding upon that, but no matter what model of instruction we choose in our classrooms each day, if we don't have the relationships first, it's not going to make a difference. So what did that look like, at Kelly Mill? We decided to look at one vein. And you'll notice from the next slide in just a minute that we took one day of the week, it was a Wednesday, and 45 minutes each Wednesday when students were in what we call their specials learning environment, music, art, drama, science lab, engineering, whatever that might be for the students. And it was within that venue that we wanted to embrace this ideology, the school-wide enrichment model. So at the very beginning of the year, our specials team brought grade levels of students in, an entire first grade, for example, and they taught them about what multiple intelligence were, the whole theory that Howard Gardner exposed to us back in the early 80s, about what different types of smart, if you will, body smart, people smart, number smart. And they did a variety of team-building activities with these kids to teach them what these things meant and what it felt like, and get them in tune with identifying within themselves of what that looked like. After a few weeks of doing that in a whole group session with almost 200 kids, they broke down into smaller pockets, 25 to 30 kids, and they continued to build upon what that SMART means. At the end of the first quarter, we developed a survey or an interest inventory in which we, wanted to collect some hard data to identify where would these kids' more preferred learning environment be, as well as what is their learning style. So they completed these surveys, and through the data, we created groups of about 22 to 24 kids to where they would continue on this Wednesday specials experience, attend a learning venue that was designed specifically for their learning style, and it was connected to the core curriculum and standards that they were learning in the classroom. So the special teachers, for example, a music teacher would work in tandem with some first grade teachers on what some of the first grade standards were, and they would teach it through music. So some of the areas we had were music, drama, science, engineering, art, phys ed, media technology. Our computer lab was part of it. And it was about 45-minute segment. The projects these kids embarked on could last anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, depending upon where they were and what the project design was. And again, the students were engaged in a learning environment that was specifically designed to their learning style and their preferred learning interests. We continued that over the course of the year. We're still doing that. These are some pictures you can see from the team building activities that happened at the very beginning of the year. And to quote Sarah, I believe her name was, it's the smile that you see on these kids' face that makes you walk away with the recognition that you're doing something right. We surveyed parents and teachers as well to get feedback from them on this experience. Some of that's shared here at the end of the presentation. But where do we go from here? So we were able to touch just on a small component of this. And currently we're looking at what can we do at the very tail end of the school year that might take us to that next layer or that next level of looking at these enrichment clusters, maybe having students at different levels engage in different activities, having non-specials teachers, like our general ed teachers, our academic support teachers get involved with teaching these enrichment clusters. We are currently planning a Dream Big Day to happen this summer with our staff, at some point after the school year ends, maybe even in post-planning, where we can get that think tank mentality and look at how can we continue to build upon this such that it becomes a much more regular opportunity for kids across the school day in our building. I'm sorry, I did that again. These are just some snapshots of some of the feedback we got from some of the teachers that were directly involved with working with the kids in this specific model. If you have time to read through it, you'll recognize that there's certainly pros and cons. We had some hiccups and speed bumps that we learned from this year, but I think all in all, we learned that the school-wide enrichment model has the capacity to create a very motivated, authentically engaged learner with providing opportunities for the creative problem-solving schools that our learner profile has demonstrated for what we want to accomplish in our kids today. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
It's very, very good.
Thank you.
It just really says how important it is to have the creative choices, the music, the art, and all those other things to supplement the regular curriculum that we have. And by using it this way, it reinforces that. And we're fortunate that that's a priority in our county to do that. So it's good to see it being used this way. And
thank you. And we are, and there are pockets where this is already happening at different levels. Liberty Middle School has their I-team. I don't know if you all have heard about that, but that was a dream project from the gifted endorsement that came out about 2 years ago. Lambert High School has done some interesting things through their instructional focus time, where they give kids the opportunity to focus on their interest-based areas. And it's, again, if we can create a highly engaged and motivated learner, then maximizing the potential of what these kids can achieve, there's no ceiling.
Then we get that fourth R, results.
What's that?
The fourth R is results.
Yes, there you go. Results. Thank you, Tom.
I had a question. You said you broke the kids down into their learning interests, say they were math smart, and then also their learning style. Within math smart, were there different learning styles? So they're broken down into groups, subgroups in there, or most of the math kids were this way versus the music kids?
That's a great question. And so if they were math smart, then they were probably in an engineering group or potentially even a science group. And so within the projects that the teacher chose to work, the project itself was differentiated in a different ways that they could demonstrate the knowledge base. So if they were more paper pencil or if they were more creative, they had a variety of ways that they could demonstrate what the learning objective was in that environment.
So it was really personalized learning.
That's what our goal was. And sometimes we hit it and sometimes we didn't.
Excellent.
Yeah, but it's all about reinforcing a student. That gives them more confidence to tackle more things as they get older. It's great to do that in elementary.
Absolutely.
Good.
Great. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Jennifer Crutchlow with the 2014 bond update.
Just get me right out of our meeting.
Here she comes from the back.
Ignore the man behind the curtain.
It's our wizardess there.
She's wearing.
Okay, tonight I'm going to briefly go over our timeline for communicating information about the bond referendum, and then I'll end by showing you the video that Lakeisha Mose in our office and our intern Will Harrison did. He's from Lambert. So these are some things that we did prior to the 6 weeks. Our timeline is 6 weeks out from the election, and we did a series of meetings, a lot of preparation to get materials ready for the community, and then we also did some prior media coverage too. Oop, sorry. Last week, our website went live, and we started sharing information out with the schools as well. We sent information to the principals so they would be able to communicate with their staff and then also their community. And then this week is week 5. We received the ballot from the county, so we posted that online so you'll be able to see the 3 different ballots, and our question will be the very last thing on the ballot. And then we also started sharing more information. We put out the communicator this week, and we had a 45% open rate, which is fantastic. And then today we started sending out reminders to register to vote because the last day to register to vote is Monday. So if you have a child in the school system, you received phone calls today, you received emails. If you're a junior or a senior, and you could possibly be 18, then you received a message through It's Learning too. So thank you to Mike Evans for doing that. And then tomorrow, we are going over again with the administrators all of the information that they have and answering any questions for them. We did do that prior in the meeting and in the prior month. And then board briefs will go out tomorrow, and we also had 2 meetings this week. And then next week, we will have our Do Your Civic Duty and Vote signs will be out among our schools. We'll continue sharing more information with the media and sharing information. Mrs. Crow and Mrs. Light are going to the Republican Party state school superintendent debate, and they're sharing information there too. April 28th, which is the beginning of week 3, that's whenever we start to do our advanced voting. So we'll start the cycle all over again and start communicating about advanced voting opportunities. This is whenever we will start distributing the flyers. We have 21,000 flyers in my office that we'll start distributing through the elementary school backpacks. We're not sending them out this week or next week because they're CRCT testing. So every child will receive information that way. In the middle and high school, since we know paper products will not get home through their backpacks, their parents will receive electronics communication. The messages will start changing at the signs. We have a teacher advisory meeting, and Ms. Light is also presenting at the State of the County address for the Chamber of Commerce. So we'll share information that way. 2 weeks prior, we'll continue doing May communications, social media, media coverage. And then 1 week prior, we will follow up with another communicator that goes to all of our parents and our staff members, and then also do the parent and community advisory meeting. And then the week of the election, the day before, you'll see principals sending out communications to their staff. We will send out communications. And then also, too, I missed, each of the weeks, we have the 4 areas for the bond referendum: improvements to existing schools, growth, safety, and technology. We will feature one of those each week on our social media. And so that will mimic on our district site and then also on our school sites. Do you have any questions about our 6-week plan?
I think you got it covered.
Okay. And then our main communication piece is the bond site. And I want to do a shout out to facilities and finance and technology and anyone else that I missed for helping us gather all of the information, because there is a lot of detail there. So you'll see voter information on the right-hand side.
Is it on the front page? Is it easy to get to, or do you have to put in bond like you just did?
If you go to the homepage,
Front and center.
District news. Yeah.
and all of the schools, we sent them information on Friday to make this front and center too, and then we're following up this week to make sure it's there. And then you'll see reminder to vote. You'll see advanced voting underneath there too as well.
Okay.
And then that's an RSS feed. So we do have a lot of people subscribe to the RSS feed, so they'll get that into their news. So each one of these green icons, if you click that, that will give you more information, especially underneath the growth area. That will give you the list for the middle and the high schools. And then we have enrollment information, and then anything you need to know financial-wise. And it's been interesting the past week. After we sent out the communicator, we've started to get questions. And so the staff here at the office, I've divided them out, and we're responding to questions and providing a lot of information to community members. Okay. And this is the video.
Forsyth County Schools is home to 40,821 students in 35 schools. As the 3rd fastest growing school district in the nation, Forsyth County Schools adds 1,700 new students a year. This year, Forsyth County Schools moved from the 9th to 7th largest school district in Georgia, surpassing both Henry and Cherokee County schools. The district operates at a high level of fiscal efficiency and delivers strong achievement results. Forsyth County Schools is one of the lowest per pupil expenditures in Georgia and the lowest millage rate in Metro Atlanta. This year, Forsyth County Schools earned the highest graduation rate among Georgia's 20 largest school districts and also the highest SAT scores in the state. Given the fiscal challenges residents faced during the recession, the district has not held a bond referendum since 2007 to generate funding for capital improvements. Therefore, Forsyth County Schools spent a year building the new strategic plan and an additional year completing the facilities plan to identify the current and future needs of students and staff. The result was the Board of Education's decision to provide voters the opportunity on May 20th, 2014 for a $195 million bond referendum, which will address 4 areas: improvements to existing schools, school safety, technology, and growth. Improvements to existing schools for proposed projects such as Career Technical and Agricultural Education, CTAE, high school equipment updates and program expansion, special education, technology, and equipment, renovations and improvements, including but not limited to electrical, flooring, painting, plumbing, kitchens, and HVAC. School safety for proposed projects such as upgrading decade-old video cameras, improving school visitor check-in systems, and implementing new communication devices for bus safety. Technology for proposed projects such as upgrading network switches to support faster network speeds, expanding data storage for teachers and students, enlarging the Wi-Fi network to provide more coverage for BYOT, replacing aging school projectors, and upgrading video and audio systems. Growth for proposed projects such as purchasing new school buses, additions and modifications to existing schools, the construction of a new middle and high school, and funds to purchase land for new schools. If the May 20th, 2014 bond is approved by voters, funds would be available fall 2014 and work would begin on projects at existing schools continuing for 4 years. The financing for this bond is structured not to increase the bond debt millage rate as long as SPLOST, Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, is extended by voters. If the May 20th, 2014 bond is not approved by voters, the proposed projects, including improvements to existing schools, school safety, technology, and growth, may not be completed. The deadline to register to vote in the May 20th, 2014 election is April 21st. Voter information, which includes advanced voting dates and locations, is available at www.forsyth.k12.ga.us/bond. The site also includes bond project lists and enrollment and financial information.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Jennifer, what are some of the questions that people have asked? Just clarifications on the improvements on schools? Is that what they're looking at?
Financial questions.
Yes.
About the bond and the growth. What is our SPLOS growth that we're going to have, and how do we expect that to make the bond payments with the existing bond millage rate? Questions about East Forsyth High School. When is that going to come out of the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Those were the questions this week. I'm sure we'll have more.
Okay, good.
And I'll mention for voter registration, since it is upon us, they have a new online system, makes it a whole lot easier to do that. So if you hadn't done that, that's a great way to go.
Yes, one of our coworkers that just bought a house today in Forsyth County went online and she registered to vote and said it was very easy. It was all done electronically.
Great. Yeah, it's good to know.
Thank you.
The organizations that I've been to, it's it's trying to think of questions I've had, and it's really just clarification. I mean, I feel like the civic organizations and stuff, that there's a lot of support, that they realize that it's so important to the people I've talked to so far.
And this isn't the first one we've done, so.
Right.
Growing as fast as we have, we've done a number of them in the past, and they've gotten better each time, and we learn each time and learn how to communicate better what this is all about. But it's how we borrow money.
I think a lot of people don't realize it's not just our school system that decides what we want to do, and that we have to work with the state, and that we can't build in anticipation. We are forced to build because we have them, and that ties our hands a lot. And I think that's what people just, it's not our choice, it's just what we have to do.
Right.
That's right.
So I think it's going pretty good. Okay, next we have Mr. Dan Jones with the financial report.
We have tonight the financial report for the month ending March 2014. Started the month with $77,346,000. Our revenue for the month was $15,794,000, giving us funds available of $93,141,000. Expenses for the month were $24,736,000, leaving us a balance at the end of the month of $68,404,000. Our budget, we're almost 85% on our revenues, and right at almost 75% on expenditures. And again, if you divided this equally every month, which should be right at 75%, which is right where we are. So everything's in line. Look at revenues, we're almost 99% on ad valorem taxes.
That's great.
Real estate transfer tax, we would expect this to be over because we've been conservative on our budgeting here lately, but we're 113% on that. And you can see the other areas here. And you can scroll through and look at each area for the expenditure side. A listing of the checks that were written for the month and wires that we made. All schools did report this month. And there is a total of $7 million in all the accounts when you add them all together. This is getting toward the end of the year, so. SPLOS, sales tax for the month, we collected $2,416,204. It's up from last month, but it's down a little bit, almost 4% from the same time period last year.
And again, we did have that would be from February?
Yes, ma'am.
So therefore, we still had some bad weather days there, so.
Yeah, we did have quite a few.
We couldn't shop.
Oh,
Couldn't use
That's
gas.
right.
Couldn't use
Right,
gas.
yeah, it's true.
sold a lot of bread and milk.
There you go.
Right.
This money is invested. We earn $1,835 in interest, and there's $19,635,000 in the account. And I do have a bond payment coming up in June of about a little over $15 million, so we've got enough to cover that.
That's good.
And this is what it looks like when you put it on the graph. It's actually been pretty flat this year. And what I did, we're 20 months into this round of SPLOS, so what I did was to show you a comparison of the first 20 months of the 2007 through 12 sales tax. Yeah, you can see during that time period, we collected $50 million. And for SPLOS 4, we collected $51.5 million, or $1.5 million more. And that is a growth of 3%. Now, when we did our projections for this upcoming bond, the sales tax, we were very conservative. We grew it at 0.5%. And for the 10-year period, and then nothing after that. So you can see, even though SPLOS, it fluctuates a good deal, we're still growing. And right now, it looks like we're growing enough to make the bond payments, and also it will support the next bond issue. We still have the 2007 bond money there. We earned $764 in interest, and there's $7,298,000. And the 05, we earned $311 in interest, and there's $2.9 million there. And again, these funds are set aside for Brandywine. Capital outlay, result of the set aside for Brandywine, you can see that there's no money available for any projects.
Where are we at with Brandywine? Now it's a different topic, but what stage are we at?
We are waiting. I would say, where's Bill McKnight, sitting behind Dan
He's right here.
Jones
Yeah.
for Brandywine for the
interrupted
state
Dan, but-
ability to draw down on the state funding, so we can begin with that, which was, what's the timeline?
Correct. We got the signed contract back from the architect today, which we will now send to the state and start our planning process.
Wow, exciting.
Cool.
Thank you.
I know.
Debt service, you can see the 19 million in the sales tax and 11 million in the checking account. So we have 30 million available for bond payments. And like I said, we'll spend half of that here in the next couple of months. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Right on track as always, right?
Yeah, that's the way we like it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the agenda item that we added, the assessment and accountability, which is that gonna be Beth Kiefer and Carl Mercer?
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak. I'm going to cover assessment, and Mr. Mercer is going to cover accountability. Assessment, as you know, testing is well underway. We started CRCT because of the snowcation and the winter break that we had that was somewhat extended. This year, because of weather, we had to move our CRCT and CRCTM assessments forward a bit. So we started those yesterday. Reading started yesterday with ELA today, and CRCTM math will be tomorrow. CRCT will be on Monday with the math, and Tuesday CRCT science, Wednesday CRCT social studies. Just a reminder, CRCT, CRCTM, the M is the modified for those eligible students in special ed.
Right.
We hope to have results back by around May 8th or May 9th, and our retests fall around May 20th, 21st for the elementary school, May 27th and 28th for the middle school. So they should have a couple of weeks. Our schools do spend time remediating through the month of May, so parents shouldn't be worried about the late return of results. We use our interim results to base our remediation on, and then we use the results that come from CRCT and CRCTM to shore up those groups that need further remediation.
So what you said, interim results, where do you get those, or how's that?
The assessments that we give in Forsyth County.
Okay.
So grades 2 through 8. Or those common assessments that the schools use of their own. As well, we have EOCT that's upcoming, and that's May 1st through May 15th. Reminder that EOCTs, the end of course assessments, are actually middle school and high school. Those middle schools take the physical science and the accelerated coordinate algebra, and then the high schools take all 8 of the EOCTs. Those results come back quickly because it's electronic, so usually they have them anywhere from after the first week, they have them in the next day or so. So those are pretty quick. As a reminder, we also have going on beyond the state testing, AP testing, IB testing, the end of pathway assessments. So high schools are very, very busy at this point of time in the year. Questions?
Thanks.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to talk with you again this evening. I wanted to talk about accountability, and it really centers around 2 big pieces, which is IE squared and CCRPI. Had the opportunity this evening earlier to have our public hearing for IE squared, where we are going to the state May 8th to be approved for a 1-year extension, proposed 1-year extension, which will allow some extra time for our evaluation from the year 5 results to come in. And we are currently in our year 5 of our IE squared, which is a 5-year contract. So again, that will be May 8th. So once that happens, then we'll have an opportunity to look at those results, and the state will have an opportunity to provide those results to us. The other piece is CCRPI. CCRPI, a new accountability system. This will be the 3rd year that we're in right now. The results right now, we have 11-12 and 12-13. Those are actually recently updated, and the state has announced that on April 16th, well, they announced on April 16th that on Monday they'll come out with the public release of the 2012-13 and the 2011-12 results. They did come out with some results last year. That was known as a study year, as the state has kind of working through the ins and outs of the new accountability system and what those indicators look like and what that accountability looks like for our schools. So when that information comes out, we're definitely going to spend a lot of time looking at those results so we can get an idea of what we need to do to continually improve and strive to do better as a system and to keep our high achieving results. One other piece is that when they looked at the 12-13 CCRPI, they did come up with a different set of business rules which were more rigorous than the other business rules that they had in place for 11-12. So like I said, there is a difference between those, but now what they're coming out with is an apples-to-apples comparison with the 12-13 business rules based on with the 11-12 data included. There were a lot of shifts in percentages in the different sections of the CCRPI, which and a lot of extra constraints put on some indicators with tied directly to achievement results. And so, like I said, it does look a little bit different, but we're looking forward to getting those results and doing some data analysis and really supporting our schools.
So this is the 3rd year on the CCRPI, and there's been 2 sets of changes. Do you have a feeling for is it gonna settle down now, or next year are we gonna be having a different set? And if they keep, it's good that they perfect it. I'm all about that, but is it gonna settle in now, or?
Well, in education, there's no stop and change, we know that. They have indicated that, that what they've come up with now is a good accountability for the schools as far as looking at all aspects, everything from career to getting students ready for college as well. I think that as time goes on, there will be changes because we already know that there's going to be a change in the assessment for next year, which will again change the CCRPI, the way that it's calculated, because there may or may not be the same amount of assessments, especially at the middle school and elementary school level. So that will look a little bit different. And every year they benchmark certain indicators that they know it's hard to get to 100%, for example, attendance. They know that that's difficult to achieve because students miss.
There it is.
And it's hard to control that. So that's an item that is benchmarked, meaning that you don't have to achieve 100% in order to gain all the points in that area. So I expect that every year there'll be differences. We've had changes up until just a month ago when we realized actually in our county that one of the indicators that the state had was not calculated correctly, and we contacted them, and it's actually delayed the release of the CCRPI even farther. Good. And it did result in some of our schools gaining 2 to 3 points. So it was a significant area that needed to be addressed.
So we'll know now so we're in April. So we'll know what they're going to be now. And we can use, the principals and the teachers can say, okay, going into this next year, this is what we got to shoot for. This is what we got to focus.
That is correct. At the last state board meeting, they did approve and adopt the 2013-14 indicators for the CCRPI. And as the year has gone on, there's been just a couple changes. As far as this year, some indicators have dropped off because of funding, and they've added some as far as the benchmarking to make them more rigorous. So all of the schools, we've communicated very well with the schools, and we've made it a priority to make sure that they understand what the current indicators are, and every time that there's a change, we communicate with them as soon as possible so that we can all move swiftly on our feet. But communication is key, and keeping them abreast of all of the information and all the changes that happen.
Okay, great.
I have one question for Beth around assessment. Years in past, we always had a time lag from the time we took the assessment to the time we received the results, and that produced a lot of angst in terms of placement and all of that. It sounds like that's gotten better over the years.
For the past at least 5 years that I've been here, typically when we package and send results, there's a 10-day window for them to score results at the vendor's site and then get us electronic results. We will get electronic results at the system level that I'll send out to the schools. The parents won't get a paper report for 10 days after that. So it might seem delayed to parents, but for us to be able to make effective decisions, they will have results, and they'll be complete results.
So it's gotten a little better, it sounds like. Still, it sounds like we need to probably implement a little more technology in that world and keep lobbying for an increased flow of that data so that we can move the test.
It would be nice to be like the EOCT.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someday.
Someday.
Get there.
All right.
We know
Thank
you've
you.
done it in the past. We've had a thorough explanation of CPI, and we're used to it. But maybe later this year, sometime when we have a later month, maybe we could get another overview for the public of just what the indicators are and the scoring works.
Yeah.
Not next month, but sometime.
When they decide.
Yeah,
Right, when they
go
finalize
over the details. When the information comes out Monday, we'll be able to look, even though there's an overall score, there's still a lot of different sections and indicators that go along with that. And actually what we've done this year is we put together a worksheet, a CCRPI worksheet for our schools that they can actually plug in the different percentages and all of the indicators, and they can see how that translates. Not to the points in that indicator, but overall points for the CCRPI, so that they can prioritize what they're doing at their schools as far as their instruction and how they're changing that and what programs they're using. So we put that out there about a month ago, and we've kind of worked through that and met with some of the administrators and really looked at that and how that affects. And it's interesting because then you start to see how all the different pieces are connected. If you work in one area on a particular achievement topic, it's also connected in 3 different or 4 different areas in the CCRPI. So it really helps them to prioritize.
Great.
Great, thank you so much.
Glad you all are doing that, not me.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It's been a
thank you
pleasure.
for the, update on the fly.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move on to action items, and we have our local facilities plan adoption with Bill. Ignite.
As most of you are aware, the state requires that we do a new local facilities plan every 5 years. Due to the changing conditions and the rapid growth in our county, we didn't wait the full 5 years. We went ahead and did it on the 4th year. And I might add, with the way things are going, we may be doing it on the third year this time also.
I think so, we'll be back on that schedule.
Yeah.
As we had our official facilities plan review on April the 7th, we appreciate y'all coming out and helping us with that. I hope that helped y'all understand somewhat what we went through with it. I didn't figure y'all want me to stand up here and read both of those books, so I was just going to basically go over the report and talk about some of the comments that they made in it. Under student population trends, they said rapid growth in the school system as shown in the available historical data. Under instruction, facilities, grade organization, and student distribution, they said the facility survey team commends Forsyth County Schools for their well-maintained, clean, and welcoming school facilities. Under curriculum, grade distribution, and facilities needs, they said the facility survey team commends Forsyth County School System for their commitment to CTAE programs and the students that allow opportunities for students to demonstrate authentic application of the curricular concepts presented by the instructional staff. Under tabulation of priorities, they said the facility team commends the district level staff for their recognition of priorities and planning to accommodate the growth of the system and the community. And then under improvement needs certification, they put the facility survey team commends the superintendent and the Board of Education for their ongoing efforts to maintain a high-quality educational facilities. Can I answer any questions for anybody? I guess the main topic that most everybody is interested in is that had we stayed with our 5-year plan, we would have gotten $31 million. And by going in this year, we will get 78. So
That's really
that was
good.
our goal. Obviously, was to get as much as we could, and I think we did accomplish that.
Is that because we showed that we've had more growth?
Do what?
Is that because we had more need because we've had more growth than?
Correct, and we were able, because of some of the things that we're going to do, we were able to
Right.
get some additional funding for some of the projects that we have coming up based on the bond.
Like the classrooms in the
Right.
space where the cafeteria
And let me
was.
say that with all of this, it depends on us getting the bond to pass
Right.
also,
Right.
because obviously if we don't do the work, we won't receive the funding.
I enjoy just as much talking to the facility gentlemen from Gwinnett County because they have similar problems than we've had, and talking about their growth issues and how they've handled it. And 2 of their high schools are going to be over 4,000 students because of the growth that they've had.
And
So it's been
it was very interesting talking with him. I
Can you
enjoyed that
refresh our memories? Because we were there, but one of the things, we've been reading the surveys a lot on superintendent search and what people want to see, what they like about the system and what challenges they see. And one of the things somebody made was to have an outside team survey our facilities. Well,
We did that.
that's what we did. So can you name the representation that was in that group that we met with last week? Or at
see,
least
we had
Yeah,
the
yeah,
facilities
specific
director
names.
from
Names, but
Dawson County.
where?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
where?
had the facilities director from Gwinnett County. We had,
Stevens County.
State Board of-
Stevens,
yeah,
Barrow.
Stevens County, we had Barrow County, and then we had 2 people from the state.
So multiple, several counties and 2 from the state to help.
Yes.
Okay, so they reviewed all the work that had been done. And
We
can-
probably would fit more in line with that Gwinnett group because of the way we have such rapid growth, and of course, they've been going through it for years.
But then Barrett County had the same, similar.
Not at quite the level that we
no,
have, but
they've
yes,
had them too.
they've certainly had to
Right.
do a lot of things.
So
And we work, to be honest, we work with a lot of those counties. We share information through some of
Right.
the organizations that we're members of.
And
They
can
try
you
to help each
redo
other
your
out.
plan whenever you want to? Like you can redo it in 3 years, even if it's a
That's
5
correct. You have to do it every 5, but you could redo it every year
You
if you
could.
wanted to, but it's such an undertaking, I don't know that that would be something.
You don't think you want to?
Gwinnett has never even done theirs that quick, and they're obviously the largest system in the state.
Well, I think you'd have to have a 3-year period just to get
That's exactly right.
the
It-
projects done.
Right, you
and
have to get
then
them
you-
started.
Right, to
Because
know where
then
you
you
need
see
to go.
what you're going to be doing in the future,
Exactly.
what your next things are.
Exactly,
If we tried to
right.
go back in a year, we wouldn't even be through those projects.
Exactly, you
Right.
couldn't tell.
But just so I understand that we started, so we're in 2014 right now, almost July. For when that we were met with the state, our documentation, they considered our plan 2013 to 18, 5 years. We're kind of calling it 14 to 19, kind of because we started in January of last year to get to the point we're at now, and we're still not done yet. Now that the facilities team has done their review, it goes back down to the State Board of Education.
That's correct.
They gotta say it's okay.
Once y'all approve it.
Once we approve it, so there's still more, so we're not done.
Oh,
So my
no.
point is, it's like a solid 1.5-year process between, and the process starts by going to every single school, one by one, assessing where they're at, what they need, both physically, heating, cooling, air conditioning, instructional needs, growth needs or not. So every school, it's been a long process is my point.
Right.
So here we are in 2014. In their mind, we're kind of already in year 2, because they call it 2013-18. So but we're kind of thinking of it as 2014, because we're almost approved, and then it goes for 5 years. So if we were not Forsyth County and we weren't growing at the rate we are, we would be done with this again in 2019, done the whole process.
Correct.
Which would mean we really would have to start to do that.
In 18.
2017, really almost have
Well,
it
yeah,
done.
early 2017. But
So-
you have to
we're
realize,
gonna be-
this is something that we work with all the time. We are constantly
ongoing.
working with the schools
Right.
for their needs. And as far as what needs to be replaced, we have a database that has every piece of equipment in the county.
Right.
And so at any time, we can pull that up and see where we are.
But, so I guess my point is, if we were normal, and we're not, we would start this all over again in 2017. The reality is, we'll probably start the process again in 2016 to remotely possibly be done in the time for the next
By
round of
17.
where we're at.
That's correct.
And that's
Right.
just if we start a year early.
That's right.
That's correct.
And for the community
It,
that's interested in
it
this-
never ends. It's just a continual process.
We're just on the.
And
Fast- when we
this
start-
plan is something that never really goes to sleep. It's always something that we're
So
working
it's a
on.
5-year plan, but we'll be talking again in a few years. 3 tops.
And it's just one
Oh,
cog
yeah.
in the wheel, because this is only half the picture of how we get funding to build schools, to improve schools and capital money. The
Yeah.
other half is our local funds, which we have to match.
I always
And
tell
that's part of
everybody
this
this is
agreement.
kind of the bricks and the mortar. This is
Mhm.
about 50% of what we spend. And to be honest, even though this capital outlay went up, and it includes everything from air conditioners to floor tile to ceiling tiles to all those things, all of our capital outlay money will eventually be used for new construction because of the rate that we're growing.
That's
And
right.
we have to match it. And so
That's-
that's part of
Yeah,
the way
more.
we have to
Right.
plan in order to continue to grow, to stay ahead of the curve as we grow.
We've been trying to get ahead of the curve for 15 years. and
But the
hadn't happened.
process is meant to keep us functional within the curve and not get too far ahead and have
Correct.
empty
Well,
classrooms.
you have to
Yeah.
realize,
Yeah.
with-
Too far
especially
ahead,
with
you
this
can't
plan,
focus.
you're always going to be
Yeah.
a year to 2 years behind
Right.
because they're basing all of everything, all of their formulas are based on the last 5 years.
Right.
Right.
And if, we had one in 2010, we had one really, I don't want to say bad year, but we had a year where we didn't really grow
growth.
as much as we
Right.
have the others, and that really brought that number down. And hopefully that number will be going away in 2015. And so
Going off.
that will help us a lot.
Well, I just was curious how it works. I was looking and the school has to be open from what, I don't remember exactly what the topic was, but in that case, the school had to be open for 10 years before it could start qualifying to build up credits for needing repair on, I'll say a roof, I don't know what it was, but even then, at 10 years, you could start building credits, but you couldn't actually cash into year 20.
That's right.
So,
And again, that kind of goes back into what I was talking about, is we build these credits. We build them for a lot of different things, but because of our growth, some systems, getting a new school is a huge deal, especially a small system.
Right.
But for us, if we don't get 2 or 3, we're behind. So all of our money ends up going for new construction.
Basically, yes.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, I will make a recommendation, but before doing so, I want to say congratulations and thanks to Bill McKnight, Tim Amerson, and all those people who participated in this and helping keep us up. Very, very good job. It is recommended that the Forsyth County Board of Education adopt the new Forsyth County Schools Local Facilities Plan and Improvement Needs Certification.
Do I have a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Tom and a second by Ann. Any more discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, and now we have points of information with Dr. Evans.
Yeah, I'd just like to share with you one thing that I think is really outstanding news. Some of you saw this in the newspaper this week, and we've been making some comments about it, but the State Department of Education has a program called Family Friendly Schools. And in this year, they've just announced 4 winners of family-friendly schools. All of these schools have to be Title I schools to participate in this. Well, of the 4 schools named across the entire state, 2 of ours were Forsyth County schools. And and those were the only 2 of our Title I schools that actually applied. So everyone who applied in Forsyth County got it. Ms. Harrison was telling us just the other day, pretty good bet that in the future we'll see some of our other schools apply and maybe some others. But I think it's great that the 2 of our schools representing 50% of all the statewide awards have been recognized this year, and I think that's outstanding. So congratulations to Cumming Elementary School and
Midway
Elementary School
yeah.
for being recognized as family-friendly schools.
I think that's great. I really do.
Also considering, I mean, we might not have all applied, but proportionally Forsyth County probably has a little less Title I schools than other counties.
That would be correct,
So-
yes.
That's really good.
Numerically, they did well. Very
And
good.
considering everything that Midway's had, but well, both schools have to put up with all the huge populations for them to get.
The diversity they have compared to
Right.
lots
And
of
the
our other
facility
schools.
challenges that they
Right,
have. That's
exactly, being overcrowded and everything they've been through. It's wonderful.
Leadership.
Yes, it is leadership.
Okay, now, if there's nothing else, we're ready to go into executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Ann and a second by Kristin. All in favor?